Stillness in the storm, the art of slow living. Every morning, the alarm clock screams before the sun has even risen, emails flood your inbox. Notifications buzz like swarms of bees, you sip your coffee, more out of habit than joy, while scrolling through a world that never seems to pause, deadlines loom. The news is loud. Your mind races, you run, but where are you going? Faster. Busier. Louder, and yet emptier. We live in a world obsessed with speed, a society that praises the hustle, the grind, the never-ending chase. Keep going, they say, do more. Be more. Get there. But no one ever stops to ask, get where? Is this really living, or are we just surviving, one rushed breath at a time, somewhere deep within you? There's a longing, a whisper beneath the chaos. It says, stop. Breathe. Listen. That whisper is the doorway to stillness, to presence, to the kind of life where you are no longer chasing, but awakening. In Buddhism, we don't just ask how to escape suffering, we ask how to live fully, even in the storm, how to walk calmly through the fire, how to slow down, so we can truly see, and that is what this journey is about. This is Stillness in the Storm, the art of slow living, and it begins here, with one simple question: what if slowing down is the fastest way to come home to yourself? Speed, it was meant to serve us, help us do more, go farther, become greater, but somewhere along the way, speed became our master. In a world that never sleeps, we've forgotten how to rest. We've traded stillness for stimulation, presence for productivity, and silence for scrolling. You wake up already behind, breakfast is a blur, the day disappears in meetings, messages, and meaningless multitasking, and at night you lie in bed, exhausted, but unable to sleep. Your body is still, but your mind, it's running. This isn't just burnout, this is disconnection. Disconnection from your breath, from your body, from your being. Buddhist teachings call this state avidya, ignorance. Not in the sense of lacking knowledge, but in the sense of forgetting what truly matters. We have become strangers to ourselves, racing through life, yet missing life itself. A mind that moves too fast becomes reactive. A reactive mind is easily disturbed, and a disturbed mind suffers. The Buddha once said, a mind unguarded is like a city with no walls. Vulnerable. Unprotected. Wide open to chaos. The problem isn't that we move, the problem is that we never stop. The lotus does not bloom in rushing water, it grows in stillness, in the quiet, where roots can sink deep and life can truly unfold. So what happens when speed becomes the enemy? We lose the ability to truly see, to listen, to feel. But here's the truth, the world may be moving fast, but you don't have to. You are allowed to pause, you are allowed to breathe, you are allowed to reclaim your inner peace, because only when we slow down, can we finally return to the home we've been rushing past all along. When people hear slow living, some think of laziness, others imagine giving up ambition, doing less, becoming less. But in the Buddhist path, slowness is not a retreat, it is a return to what is real, a return to what is sacred, a return to you. The Buddha never rushed, he walked barefoot through forests and villages, not to escape life, but to be one with it. Every step he took was deliberate, every breath a reminder of impermanence, every silence a teaching in itself. In the heart of Buddhism lies a simple but profound practice, mindfulness, not just during meditation, but in every moment, washing a bowl, drinking tea, tying your shoes. In mindfulness, we are not doing things to get them over with, we are doing them to wake up. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen master, once said, walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Imagine that, every step a blessing, every movement sacred. In modern life, we hurry through even the smallest actions. We eat without tasting, we listen without hearing, we live without being. But the Buddhist path invites us to return, to slow down, to feel again. Through the practice of walking meditation, we discover how to move without rushing. Through sitting meditation, we learn to meet ourselves in stillness. Through mindful breathing, we come back to the miracle of now. Try this, the next time you sip your tea. Just sip, don't scroll. Don't think. Don't plan, just taste, let that single sip be your teacher. The Buddha taught that true awareness does not require retreating to a mountaintop. It begins right where you are, in traffic, in your office, in your kitchen. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of clarity within movement. When you walk slowly, not just with your legs, but with your mind, you return to the present moment. You return to peace. You return to your true home. Life doesn't always wait for us to be ready. One moment, everything is calm. The next, illness strikes, a job is lost, a loved one walks away, or the world around us breaks in ways we never expected. In those moments, stillness seems impossible. The mind becomes a battlefield, anxiety swells, pain rises, we feel lost and utterly alone. But there is a place, even in the fiercest storm, where the winds cannot reach, a place untouched by fear, untouched by loss. That place is not somewhere out there, it lives within you. The Buddhists call it equanimity, upekkha, the unwavering balance of mind, the ability to remain centered, not because life is easy, but because your heart has learned the art of letting go. Think of a candle flame. In a windless room, it doesn't flicker, it simply shines. That is your true nature. When everything falls apart, we often try to fix, escape, or control, but the Buddha taught a radical truth. Suffering doesn't come from the storm, it comes from our resistance to it. What if, instead of fighting the chaos, we allowed ourselves to be with it, to sit with pain, to breathe through fear, to observe, without judgment, what is here? Right now, in that space of radical acceptance, something sacred unfolds, presence. Not passive surrender, but a deep, conscious choosing. I will not abandon myself, even now. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, when you become you, Zen becomes Zen. When you stay present with your grief, your anger, your uncertainty, you touch the ground of being. You no longer react, you respond, you move, not out of panic, but from a still heart. In the eye of every storm, there is silence, and in the heart of that silence, is your power. The lotus, after all, blooms not in perfect conditions, but in muddy water, and you, too, are capable of blooming, even as the winds howl. Even as the world shakes, even when everything around you is falling apart. The question is not, will storms come? The question is, when they do, can you remember who you really are? What if the miracle you've been searching for was already in your hands, not in a future promotion, not in a faraway retreat, but in your cup of tea, in the way sunlight hits your floor, in the sound of your child's laughter or the warmth of your own breath? When we slow down, we begin to see that nothing is ordinary. Everything, when met with presence, is sacred. The Buddha never taught us to escape life, he taught us to touch it. Deeply, tenderly, moment by moment. The joy we long for is not somewhere out there. It's already blooming, quietly, inside the simplest things, but it only reveals itself when we arrive in the here, arrive in the now, not half here, half thinking about what's next, but fully home. In Buddhism, there is a teaching called the Four Nutriments, the food of the body, the food of the senses, the food of intention, and the food of consciousness. It reminds us, we are always feeding ourselves something. The question is, are we feeding joy, or feeding restlessness? Washing the dishes can be an act of meditation, folding laundry can become a prayer. Even walking to the mailbox can be an invitation to feel the earth again beneath your feet. When you eat mindfully, the apple tastes different. It's not just sweet, it's alive. It carries sunlight, rain, soil, wind, the entire universe in a single bite. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh often asked, "Are you sure you have a toothache?" It's a strange question. Until your tooth does ache, then, suddenly, all you want is for it to stop. He taught this to remind us that right now, in this moment, without pain, without chaos, there is peace already here. But we miss it, because we're always chasing the next thing, the next task, the next escape. What if you made tea and just drank it? What if you walked without earbuds? What if you took 5 minutes to feel the sun without multitasking it? That's not laziness, that's sacred living, that's the return to a kind of joy this world forgot how to feel, because true joy is not made of dopamine hits or grand achievements, it's made of tiny things. Deeply seen, it's built from silence, from gratitude, from being right here with what is. When we stop rushing through life, we begin to see its poetry, the way your cat curls up on your lap, the way steam swirls from your coffee. The way a child looks at you with complete trust. These are not distractions, they are the point. So, friend, breathe slowly, choose slowly, walk slowly, look at the world not as a task to be managed, but as a miracle to be witnessed, because the sacred isn't somewhere else, it's in the ordinary, and the ordinary is where your true joy has always been waiting. You've seen the storm, you've touched the stillness, you've rediscovered the sacred in the simple. Now comes the real journey, not just thinking about slowing down, but living it. But let's be honest, we live in a world that doesn't make slowness easy. Notifications buzz, deadlines loom, culture screams, do more. Be more. Move faster. So how do we build a life that resists the rush, a life that moves, not in fear, but in flow? Buddhist teachings give us a beautiful answer: right effort. It means moving not with frantic energy, but with mindful intention. You don't have to abandon your job, your family, your city, you simply need to learn how to show up differently. Not always chasing, but choosing. Start with your mornings. Instead of grabbing your phone, place your hand on your heart, breathe, feel the aliveness in your body, say to yourself, this moment is enough. Before rushing into your day, light a candle, drink your tea without scrolling, step outside and feel the wind touch your face. These tiny shifts, they are seeds of transformation, and when practiced consistently, they grow into a garden of peace. Next, observe your speech. Are your words rushed? Are they necessary? Are they kind? In Buddhist ethics, right speech is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Speaking slowly, mindfully, truthfully, transforms not only how others hear you, but how you hear yourself. And what about technology? Instead of letting your phone run your life, reclaim your attention, create sacred boundaries, design digital Sabbaths. Remember, your attention is your most sacred resource, spend it wisely. Build in sacred pauses during your workday, 1 minute to breathe, 1 minute to stretch, 1 minute to ask, am I rushing, or am I living? Even in traffic, even in a long grocery line, you can turn that moment into meditation, into mindfulness, into a return to the breath, and perhaps most importantly, redefine success, not by how busy you are, but by how present, not by what you've produced, but by how deeply you've lived. Imagine a world where slowness is strength, where presence is more valuable than productivity, where joy is found not in speed, but in depth. This is not fantasy, this is available, right now. In your breath, in your choice to slow down. In your decision to walk, not run, through the sacred garden of your life, because ultimately, slow living isn't about doing less, it's about being more fully alive in whatever you do. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, smile, breathe, and go slowly. Not just as a quote to admire, but as a way of walking through the world. We began this journey in the heart of chaos, in the storm we all live in. We explored the art of stillness, of slowing down in a world that never seems to stop. We learned that stillness is not a passive retreat from life, but an active choice to remain grounded in the midst of it all. That peace is not found in perfect circumstances, but in the way we respond to them, how we choose to be with our suffering, how we choose to be with our joy. And now, at the end of this journey, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of something new. The truth is, slowness is not just a way of living, it is a form of revolution, in a world addicted to speed, to productivity, to constant motion. Slowing down is an act of rebellion, but this revolution isn't loud, it isn't filled with protests or anger, it's a revolution of the heart, a revolution that says, we do not need more, we need to be more present. As you step back into the flow of your life, remember, the most radical thing you can do is to live mindfully, to choose slowness, not as a trend, but as a way of being. Not as an escape from the world, but as a way to engage with it fully, through each breath, each action, each encounter. The Buddha's life was a testament to this. The world may turn and turn, but if you are grounded in the moment, you are never lost. So, when the storm comes again, and it will you remember the stillness within you? Will you choose presence over panic? Will you live your life rooted in slowness, not because the world slows down, but because you have learned to meet it with calm? The revolution is already happening, inside of you. Every time you pause, every time you breathe, every time you choose to be present, you bring the world one step closer to peace. And as you walk forward, slowly, steadily, remember. This is not a practice for the weekend, it is the art of living, and it is available to you right now. Thank you for taking this journey with me. May your life be filled with stillness, may your heart be rooted in presence, and may you find joy in the simple things, for, as the Buddhist said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without.